Good morning. This is Matt Sexton with the Florida Department of Transportation's Production Support Office, CAD. Today's webinar is What's New with FDOTSS4, that's to say Maintenance Release number 8. So we have almost released Maintenance Release 8. As you know, we're doing quarterly releases of our software, and we did have one scheduled for Monday. The FDOT website is going through some changes and updates, so we're having a little bit of a delay as far as getting that software listed on our website. That will be there hopefully later on today. You will receive a contact mailer notification when that does get posted, so you'll be able to go ahead and download that. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and talk about what's new with FDOTSS4. Just like the last release, MR7, the FDOTSS4 MR8 has been certified to run with MicroStation 08 1109 832 with Geopack 08 11 09 878. The district offices are using priority build 897, but functionally both of those will work, and we're recommending the consultants to use 878. That's to say, if you're using Power Geopack, you should use 08 1109 878, and of course the district offices are using priority build 897 that's available to them. Let's just review the recommended installation steps. Of course, there's two ways to have FDOTSS4 installed on your machine or on your system at your site, and that is a workstation, standalone workstation, as well as a client server setup. For laptops that might be disconnected from the network, you might still need to work on, we do recommend that standalone workstation installation, or for small sites, a standalone workstation. For larger sites, that client server installation is a lot more efficient. If you're doing your updates with the MR8, what you'll want to do on your standalone workstations is uninstall completely the FDOTSS4 workstation installation that you have right now. And then I always recommend going to the C drive, locating the FDOTSS4 folder on the C drive, and just double checking to make sure that was removed during the uninstall process. If it wasn't, go ahead and delete that manually, and you should be good to go to install the MR8. As always, after doing an installation, I do recommend restarting your machine. With the client server installation, if you have installed the MR7 clients, you probably don't need to update your clients. I don't believe anything has changed as far as the client installation goes, so you should be good with that. The server, you can do one of two things. You can unzip the server update zip, which will be available. It's currently, we're in the process of producing that. You can unzip that server update zip to your server. What I recommend with the server update zip is go ahead and unzip it to a temporary location so you can open up the folder, take a look at where the folders are, and make sure that when you copy it to the server, you're copying it to the correct location. If you unzip it directly to your FDOTSS4 folder on your server, it may or may not go in the correct location. So I'd recommend go ahead and unzip that to a temporary location so you can take a look at those folders. The other way, of course, is to rename your server folder, something like FDOTSS4 _ backup, and then run the server installation to your server. Now, of course, with both of those methods, it's critical that you make sure that everyone at your site is not in FDOTSS4 MicroStation Power Geopack. Get everyone out. A good opportunity to do that at lunchtime or after 5 o'clock or before working hours. You don't want to have anyone inside of FDOTSS4 when you're doing the update to the server. If you have any questions about the install steps, please contact us, and I'll give you our contact information at the end of this presentation. So what's new? That's why you're here, right? All of the what's new information can be found in the readme.docx. I'll show you where that is. After you do your installation, that README file is going to be located directly in the FDOTSS4 folder for a standalone workstation on your C drive. For a server installation, it will be located on the server in that FDOTSS4 folder. This readme.docx file contains all the information about everything that was modified. That's to say, if you see it prepended with an M, that means modified. If there's an A, that means it was something that was added. And this has all the information about everything we changed from MR7 to MR8. Incidentally, if you keep scrolling down, you will find all the MR7 update information, all the previous update information from MR6, etc. This is a file that we're just continuously adding more stuff to. So this does have all of your update information, and I'm going to step you through the important noticeable items. The first one is Create Edit File Application 2.0. We have changed the Create File application so that it's the same interface for both our Civil 3D as well as our Bentley platforms. There have been some other minor changes to make sure that the files that you create do have the correct attributes, correct models, and other things like that. I'm going to go ahead and show you. If you're familiar with the previous Create File application, this one is very similar. Any of your projects that have PCF files in your projects folder will be automatically populated. So you can browse for your project. We do have the disciplines listed here: geotech, roadway, right-of-way, and structures, for creating files from each of those disciplines. And with each of those disciplines, there's a file group. So with roadway, of course, you have all these different file groups, such as the roadway files, EMO, drainage, etc. Just like the old Create File program, you can select your file name. I think this one's a little bit easier to read. It's a little bit of a cleaner layout. You select your file type, and then you do have an option to select your county and coordinate system right from the get-go. It is going to automatically apply a sequence number based on the last file by that name in your project folder. And you'll notice now, it used to be there was a Create button and an Open button. You could create a file and then create another file and create another file and keep creating files. In this instance, there's only a Create Open File button. And the reason that is you'll notice that some of these files, specifically the alignment file, there are a number of commands that are run when you open up the file. So we need you to go ahead and open up that alignment file and have the Create File program execute those commands. Specifically for the alignment file, that's the commands that creates the additional models for your different scales of annotation for your alignment. So that is the new Create File 2.0. If you're familiar with the old one, this shouldn't be very difficult for you to figure out. We did some replacement text in the sheet borders and added a configuration variable to automatically update that replacement text. The text I'm referring to is the text that's along the bottom of the sheet border that says, I guess, time, date, and username, as well as file name. We're having some problems with it truncating for particularly long paths. So we went ahead and changed that, and we've added a variable that automatically updates that replacement text whenever you update that file. Not particularly noteworthy, but it's something that I thought I should mention. There have been some updates to the FDOTSS4 DDB, guardrail, barrier wall, MOT, and some pavement marking items. I'm going to let Candy Daffin address those items. So Candy, go ahead.
Okay, I hope everybody can hear me. Just a few minor changes this time. Previous release in the MR7, we had the changes for sod measurement along slope and rumble strip changes, but that was there. We have a video for how to use the sod along slope, and if anybody has questions on the rumble strips, feel free to contact me and I'll walk you through it. Those have been out since MR7, but for MR8 we've got just a couple of minor changes. The concrete barrier wall is now renamed to concrete barrier, just to match the FDM and specs and standard language, so that we're all using the same nomenclature to call things out. So in the concrete barrier wall, or concrete barrier now, we have added 2 new pay items that came in the BOE. We've added them to the DDB for wall shielding barrier, and we've also added options in the roadway for the concrete barrier with junction slab. That's usually a structures item, but because there are instances where there are walls with no structure associated with it, we made these available in the roadway DDB so that you can place those as you would any other barrier. And we also included the options for conduit in those, because you would also want to quantify that, and those are available to you. If you have any questions on how those should be placed, feel free to contact me, and hopefully, well, definitely in FLUG, I will have that in my presentation, and if somebody needs help with it before then, feel free to contact me and I'll help you through it. And we've also, of course, in adding those, we've got all those new pay items in there. A couple other minor changes that happened. The temporary barriers were having trouble calculating. They were just measuring as linear feet, and most designers have been drawing the front of wall and back of wall, so you get double quantities. So I modified the temporary barrier quantities to where it would take that linear foot measurement and divide it by 2 to account for the front of wall and back of wall, so you get accurate quantity measurements. So that's been corrected. Matt, I don't know if you have a separate bullet point for LDM, but I'll just go ahead and point out that one change with LDM for the landscape tree distribution chart in the sheets section of the Create From template, that tree distribution chart, I updated it to match the FDM requirements. It wasn't exactly matching before, but I went back and we coordinated that, and now it should be easier for the landscape folks to use. I think that's all I've got.
All righty, thank you so much. There have been some updates to survey levels, SMDs, and survey DGN lives. I don't have all of the information regarding that, but that was in the release notes. And John Hazlip can address that. He is not in the webinar right now, but if you have any questions about that, shoot me an email and I'll be glad to redirect that. One of the other things we did, and this is something you may or may not actually need to know about, is we did some automation of the Cad standards. We've created a new program that allows us to more easily modify the Cad standards and maintain a database. As a result, a number of the applications in the FDOTSS4 have been updated to integrate with that and work with that. It's all in the background and you won't notice any difference, but if you're noticing files that are being updated during the update process, you're wondering, well, why is this being updated? The QC program and whatnot, that's why. So if you're curious as to why there's so many changes, but not too much noted about the QC and other applications that are being updated that deal with the standards, that's why. Is we have a program now that maintains our Cad standards database, and it allows us to more efficiently maintain that database between both of the platforms, Civil 3D as well as the Power Geopack and MicroStation. And Workspace Doctor has been updated. There's some new options on that, and I think that's an excellent segue for me to go ahead and let Bob Thorburn take over. If you want to address the updated Workspace Doctor and then talk about your connection client information, I'll go ahead and make you the presenter.
Changed a few things in there just to clean things up. There was a complaint registered about it not closing Excel when it closed out. So I changed the code so that it now it will close out Geopack as well when you do the clear crash. I've also added another button here, which is a kind of drastic. When everything fails, this will clean it out like you've never opened MicroStation before. And it actually is running a batch file here that Bentley gave to us. And if I open that with Notepad, it shows all of the stuff that it will delete out of your user profile, which is a considerable amount of stuff. You can just run that independently if you want to, just by double-clicking on that batch file, and it'll clean out everything in your user profile. And it is user-specific. It won't injure any other users that are in there doing whatever they're, if you're sharing workstations. What I primarily wanted to talk to you about today was this connection client. This little guy, the connection client, is now provided with all MicroStation products, all Bentley products. And what it's going to do for you, if you get used to it, is it's going to come in and it's going to open up a enterprise portal for you for your location. This one is the And on the opening screen, it also gives you the ability to download files. This would be for the system administrators out there. They can, and you can go to your Bentley communities from this location. You can do software downloads. You can check on your service requests that you have into Bentley. And I would encourage everybody to file user requests when they run into problems that are Bentley specific. The more the users go out there and file complaints or file update requests on software, this is where all of that information comes from, and it really helps out. You know, if I just filed one user complaint, it's just one. But if, you know, everybody files a complaint, you know, then Bentley takes a little bit more notice to that, and we'll take action on them. One of the big things here in the very near future, all of our licensing is going to be handled through the Connect Advisor. So in January of 2019, January 1st, Bentley will stop all hosted select servers from running. That's the typical way that a lot of large companies do their licensing is through select server. That will cease on January 1st. On July 1st, 2019, if you're hosting it on premises like they are here at DOT, licensing will stop on select server, and it will no longer be supported by Bentley July 1st. So that's their target, to turn off all select servers in the state and all over the country, all over the world actually. So they're going to be hosting all the licensing from that point on. That's going to be handled by Bentley on their cloud services, and we'll be at their mercy from that point on. I'm not sure how it's going to work. I don't think they quite know how it's going to work, but it's supposed to work for us. I have one more slide here to show you. Here under, this is a link that you can get from but anyways, this is where we'll get a new tag on our site that says Enterprise Management. You'll be given a license key by Bentley. It'll be a little application that will run on every workstation. You must install the application for it to work with the Bentley licensing, their services. You'll have a select licensing agreement that we all have, generally speaking. And this is going to be something that we all need. So I would encourage all of you guys out there, get a new Bentley license, sign into this little guy, this connection client. That's the only way this is going to work, and the only way you're going to be licensed from now on. So we need to get used to it. All right, with that, Matt, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and move on. We are getting towards the end of our presentation. It is, of course, not a very robust presentation because we didn't have too many changes this maintenance release. But I do want to go over a few more things before we take questions. You'll notice on your desktop in the FDOTSS4 desktop folder, there is no longer a create file icon. This is something I didn't mention about the create file program. It no longer launches from the desktop folder. It is only available to launch from the FDOT menu. And the reason that is of course, going back to how it needs to set certain variables when you create certain files or run certain commands. And we found that it works best if it's launched within FDOTSS4 within the workspace rather than from the desktop. So we removed that desktop icon, so now it is only launched inside the workspace. Beyond that, a little bit of a review. Bob did show you Workspace Doctor that is available from the FDOTSS4 folder on your desktop. If you're just looking to dump out of MicroStation, Power Geopack, and SS4, the Clear Crash is still there for you. If you're looking for support, you have a number of options. The CAD support community still goes to the Bentley community site where you can post looking for assistance, and that's a great way to receive peer-to-peer support from other users who may have experienced similar issues, and we do monitor those forums so that we can jump in and try to help. The other option is to request CAD support icon. That will take you to our Sharewell portal, and that'll allow you to submit a ticket. We monitor those tickets throughout the day. When they come into our Sharewell portal, we will contact you and see what we can do to assist you with those issues. That also allows us to track the issues and compile a knowledge base of what information is coming in and what issues people are reporting. So that is a great way to get a hold of us. And of course, you do have a link to the CAD website, and I'll show you that real quick. Of course, you know where the CAD website is by now, but I want to double check and see if those that MR8 update is not yet posted. So that should be posted later on today. Again, you will receive a contact mailer update email if you signed up for the contact mailer, which most of you have. If you received information about this webinar, you're already signed up. And the last thing I want to show you is, here's contact information. I did mention that you should submit any support requests through our portal. You can also email cad.support@dot.state.fl.us. That is the best way to get support from someone in the CAD office. All of those emails that are sent to cad.support go to a number of different people. In fact, I think it's the majority of the support section of the CAD office. So you'll get a much faster response in a situation where one of us might be out of the office or away from our desks. Emailing cad.support is the best way to get hold of everyone at the CAD office. So if your issue is critical, go ahead and email it to cad.support or submit it through the Sharewell portal from that request CAD support link. I'm going to go ahead and take a moment to answer some questions. Let's see if we have anything that I'm capable of answering. Someone says the connection client error message is from a missing Windows update. Good information to have. How do we create an account for requesting CAD support? Okay, that's a great question. I'm unable to show that because I'm connected to the DOT network right now, so it won't let me show you what it looks like from a outside perspective on the portal because I'm already logged in. But what you can do is if you go to that link, there should be an option to create an external account. If you have any problems creating that external account through the portal, send me an email or send an email rather to cad.support, and we'll be glad to assist you with that. It's something that our Office of Information Technology handles, so we'll make sure to facilitate that and get an external account for you for that portal. So go ahead and email cad.support. That's a darn good question. I had not thought about that. The question is, when starting a new project, is it your intent to copy a DGN into the new project to get started in order to run create file? I hadn't thought of that as part of the workflow. So let me find out about that.
And Matt, if I could jump in there, there is a new file that is created and is placed in the user profile. It's a blank DGN file that placed in there, and we primarily use it for create project, and we use it for file management system as well.
Excellent. That is good information to have. So we have thought about that then, and we have a solution. With the new license system on laptops, how will it run on a system without internet access? How often does it require authentication? I think Bob sort of answered this by saying we don't know yet for sure. Do you have any further information on that, Bob? I was pretty sure that you answered that as we're not sure.
No, I don't have any information on unconnected.
I'm sure there'll be some contingency for that, or not. What about open roads? That is an excellent question. We put out the open roads alpha testing workspace about 3 months ago, and that is available but not for production work. I say that very strongly. It's not for production work. It's for testing purposes only. We will be putting out an update. It'll be alpha testing version 2. That should be within the next couple of weeks. There will be a contact mailer that goes out to the people that have been selected for testing, but that is available for alpha testing only. We will not be providing support for it. If you find bugs, let us know, and we'll be glad to document those bugs, but we will not be providing any sort of support for use of it for anything other than purely testing purposes. But for your information, that does exist. Can the alpha testing application FDOTSS4 run on the same system? The answer to that is yes. I'm running both OpenRose Designer with the alpha test workspace, as well as FDOTSS4 with Power Geopack. So those two platforms can live together happily on the same workstation. And then the last question I have here that I believe we'll be able to answer. So the blank DGN is not in the project. Bob, could you expound on that blank DGN again for me? Where is that located generally?
The blank DGN file is located in the user folder under the username app data temp folder. It's put in there actually when we install the FDOTSS4 client. And it's also every time you open a design file, if it's not there, it'll put one there. It'll create a new one from the seed file and put it on the user's workstation.
Excellent. That is great to know. Bob, we've got a request to show that slide one more time to provide the link shown for the connection client. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to you, and then we'll go ahead and, after that, wrap things up. And all of this will be posted on our website. So I do want to thank you for joining us today on What's New with FDOTSS4 MR8. Thanks again.